YouTube! What's going on, fam? Welcome back to another video, and man, oh man, we have something just a little bit different for you guys today. So, as you guys may know, Apex Legends came out with a new season today. We are on Season 8, and for those of you that don't know, I used to play Apex a whole lot back in the day. I stopped playing around maybe like Season 4 or 5. I think Season 5 was the last time I really seriously played. Would come back every here and there. But as of the past few weeks, I've been extremely hooked back into the game. And this season, I am so excited. I'm so excited because they decided to bring back the granddaddy of them all, Kings Canyon. Now, Kings Canyon has a little bit of a different look this season, but it's back and it's better. And for those of you that do know, it is my favorite map. It's better than World's Edge. It's better than Olympus. It is the Mac Daddy of maps. That is the map that got me synced into the game. I love it. But either way, in this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be breaking down some of the new updates for the game. We're going to be taking a look at some of the nerfs and buffs that some characters got, the new weapon, the new mag, everything. And we're also going to be going over what new weapons may be the meta going forward for this season. So either way, we're in for a doozy. But if you guys do like the content, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell notification so that way you know every time a new video goes live, man. But I'm excited. I'm excited to break all of this down with you guys. And for those of you also that don't know, I'm going to be live streaming, but probably by the time this video goes up, I'm definitely going to be streaming the actual new season. That way we could all experience it together for the first time. So if you guys need a link to that, it'll be down in the description below. But either way, let's get it going. Season 8, baby. Let's hop on into it. All right, guys, so starting off first, we all know Kings Canyon is back. I mentioned it in the intro, but Kings Canyon is back, baby, and it's better than ever. We have some new POIs on the map. We have Fuse's crashed ship over by where artillery kind of used to be, but you still have some of artillery. You can access that crash landing site there or by a tunnel that's a little bit to the east of where artillery actually is, and that's a cool little interesting point on the map. They also decided to kind of rework Slum Lakes a little bit on the backhand side of the map and added in a new point of interest onto the map. God, English is hard. Sometimes I really can't speak, but either way, well, that's what we're doing. All right, and then also the new character, Fuse. I know you guys have seen it. I know you guys may be kind of confused about some of his abilities, so on and so forth, but either way, we're going to go ahead and break that down as well. So for one, his passive ability is that he can carry more than one nade in his slot, in his inventory at one time, right? So this kind of brings us back to our original Apex days where we could carry more than one grenade at the same time. Just a little bit of a different feel for the game, plays the game pretty much really differently because of that, right? His other ability is that he's able to shoot a cluster of grenades that will do some damage to the enemies, and I'll put it right on screen so you guys could be able to see it there and see how much damage it actually does. And then his Q, or his ultimate ability, allows him to shoot a ring of fire around the opponents. Now this may not seem like it's a really big ability by itself, but when you decide to pair it with a Horizon ult and a Caustic ult, oh my god, is that going to be one of the most toxic combinations in the entire game, right? So this just really goes to show how much of a competitive and just overall how much team composition really comes into play with a lot of these kinds of games. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of shakes things up, not only on just the normal circuit, but just the competitive circuit as well. See if more pro players are going to start using Fuse, right? See if they're going to start to try and compose those teams just a little bit differently so that you can kind of take a team out in a really toxic way. No pun intended. Caustic. Anyway, now, like I said, we're going to go over some of the characters, nerfs, buffs, everything, all of the above. So let's go ahead and let's hop on into it. So here we have the patch notes for the game. Yes, the new weapon, which is a heavy weapon, the 30-30 repeater. It is a pretty heavy hitting weapon. It allows you to charge up the shot and hit somebody for 100 damage to the head. Basically making it a two-shot weapon. Don't get your dome worked out there, okay? Keep your dome safe. Anyway, moving on. Like I said, Kings Canyon map update. Back and we're better. They also added in just like some new color schemes for the map that you could kind of see here. It's a little bit more of like that yellow and blue vibe for it, kind of giving you just a little bit of a different look. They also added in this gold weapon magazine. Now, this gold weapon magazine may make things just a little bit different, because what the gold weapon magazine does is it reloads your weapons whenever you put them away, and so that you don't have to actually do it yourself. So that makes swapping weapons in the middle of a gunfight just a little bit better, because it'll give you a little indication letting you know that it reloaded while you put it away. So that could be one of those things that does make a huge difference. One of the other big things that got updated in the game was that Wraith got her hitbox nerfed, really. So the old hitbox on Wraith, as you can see here, was a little bit slimmed down, but here it's a lot wider. There's a lot more areas in which you could hit Wraith, and she's not just she's an easier target to hit while moving, right? And I know we all know when we run into them Wraiths and they're just bobbing and weaving, dodge, duck, dipping, dodging and diving, and we can't hit them. Now to make it a little bit easier to hit them, right? Rampart also got a buff to her shield. Her shield can, her angle can increase, or it got increased from 120 to 180 degrees, and the shield wall health went up by 45 HP. I'm not sure if that's enough of a buff to make her really viable in the game, but it's something that's interesting. It's letting us know that they are trying to work on the character and make her more than just like a D-list character, because that's kind of honestly what she is. No shot at Rampart mains, but I mean, she's just not that good. I'm just gonna be honest with you, she's just not that good. All right, and then Horizon got a nerf as well as far as her gravity lift cooldown. It went from 21 seconds to 25 seconds. The cooldown, yep, so that's pretty much the cooldown there. Octane, a little bit of a different thing there. You can read it, so on and so forth. Crypto, remove ability to stick arc stars to friendly drones, so you can no longer kind of stick an arc star, fly it into somebody, and then boom, there you go. You blow them up and you take off however much shield or however much damage to them. It's kind of a little broken strategy, you know, being able to do that. So I'm kind of happy that they fixed that. Loba, loot inside unopened care packages is now visible, and you could basically pull it through the black market boutique. So that's kind of cool, right? You don't have to actually go over to a care package. Say you're kind of stuck inside of a building, but you know that care package may or may not have something good on it. You could just pull the item directly to you. Or if you know an enemy team is going to run up on the care package, you could kind of just be like, nope, that's mine now. You know what I mean? And this is a huge update. All caustic gas will now dissipate as soon as the enemy team is eliminated. I cannot count the amount of times that I have been waiting for a caustic gas to disappear once he's gone. Like, why is he dead and his gas is still there? It doesn't make any sense, right? So finally they have gotten rid of that, and I am so happy, because if you don't know, I hate caustic mains. They are the bane of my existence, and I can't stand them. You know what I mean? Mirage also got a little bit of a buff here too by making his decoy footsteps actually have sound now. So it'll be a little bit harder to track which one is the actual Mirage, right? May or may not help him, but I mean, shoot, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think that's a good update. It may be a little bit too much going on in your ears if you have headset on or something like that. It may be a little bit too much, but hey, look, we're here for it. It is what it is. Weapon meta. Fully kitted rotation. They have removed the Wingman, the Sentinel, the Havoc, the G7, and the Alternator, and they have replaced it with the R301, the 3030 repeater, the Mozambique. Yes, I said Mozambique because that's exactly what it is. Okay, the Longbow DMR and the Spitfire. These are all interesting weapons because they all had pieces. Not all of them, but the 301 had a piece that came back, the Anvil receiver, which I have some gameplay on later on in the video so that you guys can see how OP it can actually be. It was something that got taken away, I think maybe like season 4 was when they took it away. But if you use single fire weapons, or if you use single fire features on certain ARs, it can make that shot double in damage, but it takes up more ammunition from the magazine. But it is something that is kind of cool, so that you don't have to hit the target so many times. If you do tend to like swap between which kind of firing mode you're using, it can be really helpful, right? So that will come on the fully kitted 301. The 3030 repeater, we all know, brand new weapon. So and I told you it's kind of OP if you can hit your shots and time them correctly. And then the Spitfire with that gold magazine, that's pretty crazy, right? That gold magazine is kind of a game changer. You can kind of wipe 2 squads in that same time frame with the amount of damage that this thing can do. The only thing about the Spitfire is the way that it shoots is just a little awkward. So it takes a little bit of getting used to when shooting the Spitfire, the shot anyway. And the fact that it can kind of just mow through heavy ammo, which is kind of a rare commodity. It's a little bit harder to find than light ammo in the game. This is kind of interesting as well. They removed the gold barrel from the loot pool. That is pretty interesting if you ask me, because the gold barrel, we all know, got rid of the muzzle flash, best stabilization, so on and so forth. So them removing this, kind of a game changer for some of those up close weapons like the R99, the Vault. You'll still have that muzzle flash. It may be a little bit harder for you to see your targets now. I wonder why they decided to do this, but hey, look, we just got to deal with it. And here's where I was talking about the hop-ups. So the double tap is removed. Thank God. The double tap, in my opinion, was pretty useless on the G7 and the EVA 8. It was pretty useless. With the amount of time it took for you to actually shoot those 2 shots, you could just, if you have a good trigger finger, just... So I don't know what they were thinking with that hop-up. Maybe that's why they removed it. And then the Anvil rounds are making a return. And like I said, I have some gameplay that I'll probably throw up on the screen to show you exactly how that's working. The Vault got a slight nerf with the bullet damage being reduced from 16 to 15, and the alternator got a slight buff with the damage being increased from 15 to 16. So it'll be interesting to see if players are going to start to try and use the alternator instead of the Vault, because it does give some of that same feel when you're shooting the weapon, as far as like the rate of fire and the TTK and everything like that is concerned. It'd be really interesting to see how that kind of works. The bullet damage on the Spitfire also got increased. The reload speed got increased, and yeah, pretty much. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of an interesting weapon now, especially with that gold magazine. We'll see how things kind of unfold through as we start to play through the season and stuff like that. And then just a bunch of bug fixes and stuff like that. All right, so for this next part of this video, I just wanted to go over what I think are going to be some of the new like meta weapons for the actual game. Honestly, there really isn't going to be too much of any changes or anything like that going into the new season. What I probably put in the number 10 slot is going to be the Havoc, right? The Havoc has always been one of those really interesting weapons where it can shred if you know how to use it, and it can especially shred if you pick up this turbocharger piece, right? So you put the turbocharger on there, put that any stock, or preferably the purple stock, and then if you would like any specific sight, but if you have a turbocharger on there, it'll just shred to the body. 18, 36 to the head, and if again got the turbocharger on there to eliminate that charge up time, absolutely destroy somebody. So that's probably why I put the turbocharger in at that number 10 slot. Only thing, it does conserve a whole lot of energy ammo, so it's one of those harder ammos to find in the game, but if you have enough of it, you'll be in good shape. And then without the turbocharger, just got to get used to that like ramp up time, but pretty much once you're there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is probably why I'd put the Havoc at the number 10 slot. All right, and then next up on the list, coming in at the number 9 slot, we're gonna have the G7 Scout. Now, the G7 Scout is another one of those interesting weapons because it used to be super OP back in the day, and then they kind of nerfed it a little bit, but if you have a good trigger finger and you can control the recoil, it'll still melt through people, right? 34 to the body, 60 to the head, and you could easily just take somebody out just like that. And especially, again, with the addition of the gold magazines for all of these weapons, putting your weapon away and then just having the ability to pull it back out after, and it just automatically reloads, is super clutch, right? Even without the gold barrel stabilizer. So again, you hit all headshots, you're taking somebody out in 4 shots, and that's probably why I'd put the G7 at the number 9 slot, because again, it's gonna destroy pretty much anybody you come across. And then next up on the list at number 8, we have another energy weapon, the Devotion. Now this weapon is absolutely insane, especially if you could find that turbocharger, but it's pretty insane even without the turbocharger, right? It just is known for melting through. It just automatically just disintegrates them and gets them off the map and gets them out of your games, right? It does 16 to the body, 32 to the head. Like I said, with a turbocharger, you're out here just destroying these kids and making them go Betty bye, right? Go ahead and slap on whatever one of your favorite sites you want on there, and you'll be in good shape out there just destroying kids in Kings Canyon. All right, and then next up on the list, we have one of my personal favorites, my baby, the R301. This is probably one of the easiest assault rifles to use in the entire game. The recoil pattern is pretty simple for people who are brand new to the game. The attachments you could put on it are pretty crazy, especially with the addition of the anvil receiver making a return. You could switch this over into single fire, pop them in the head for 70, pop them in the head for 35, or pop them in the body for 35, and then they'll just, that'll be it, right? Or if you just like to have it on auto, absolutely spray through the enemy. Whether it's to the body or to the head, they'll get out of here. And it does 14 to the body and 28 to the head without the anvil receiver. Like I said, you switch it on to that, 70 to the head, 35 to the body. They'll be goners for sure. This is definitely a top pick for me in this lineup. All right, and moving on to number 6, we have the one and only Flatline. This will absolutely destroy somebody, just like the name insinuates. It will definitely flatline your opponents, whether you have it on automatic or single fire, especially with the anvil receiver attached. 43 to the body, 86 to the head. They don't stand a chance when you use the flatline. It is a little bit harder to control than the 301, but if you're able to control the recoil, it melts them so much faster than the 301 just because of that added boost for damage. It's definitely an insane weapon, and it's one that I would definitely recommend picking up if you see it just laying around on the ground and your teammates just are like, nah, I can't use it. Just get good with the recoil pattern and you'll be good to go. I promise you. Next up, we're moving on to the one and only, the Hemlock. Now, this weapon is pretty interesting because about 2 seasons ago now, it was super OP and it was probably going to be the #1 pick for most people, but they've since reworked the weapon, changed around some of the ways that the burst works on the weapon, but if you're able to shoot it in single fire or on burst mode, you're pretty much just still going to just shred people. Although he was pretty weak, once he respawns, I'll show you. It's basically like 3 bursts right there, right? 3 bursts to the chest and up, and you're pretty much gonna wipe anybody that's right in front of you. And if you can shoot them in the head, same thing. And like I said, if you just can't shoot it in the burst mode for whatever reason, you switch it over to single fire, and they're pretty much gone just like that as well. Shoot them in the body, 20 damage to the body, to the head, 35. See, now I don't know if this weapon will compete with the addition of the anvil receiver coming back into the game, but it's definitely a top pick, and it's going to be one of those weapons you don't want to leave lying around if you just come across it while you're running around Kings Canyon with the boys or the girls. And then next up, we have a classic weapon, the Wingman. One of my all-time favorite weapons. You throw a skull piercer on this, the gold sight, no sight, doesn't matter. You hit somebody in the head, 101 damage. That means that they are 2 taps with purple armor. That's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I absolutely love this weapon. You can hip fire it, and it's super accurate. You could ADS, super accurate. Overall, definitely one of the strongest weapons in the entire game. Now, it does have a high skill gap. You have to be able to aim pretty well in order to be able to use the weapon, but if you can aim pretty well, if you can get the mechanics down for the game, you'll be in great shape if you decide to use this weapon. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only, the Vault SMG. Now, this gun is absolutely amazing. It is definitely, I think, if not my #1, my #2 pick on any gun that I am picking up in this entire game. It absolutely just shreds through people. Even though it got a slight nerf in the recent update for Season 8, it's still going to be one of those weapons that's going to just absolutely just destroy people. It does so much damage to the body. It's a little bit easier to control than the R99, and it melts almost just as fast. 15 damage to the body now instead of the 16, and 23 to the head. It doesn't even matter though. This weapon shreds through people, and again is definitely, I think, my number 2 pick personally, but not number 2 on this list. So either way, moving on to number 2 on the list, we have the one and only Mastiff Shotgun. Now I know this weapon is pretty controversial. It can either hit like a truck or just not hit at all, but you just got to know how to shoot the weapon. It's crazy. 91 damage to somebody, 104 damage, then 13 at the end. So that's why people don't like this gun, but it's definitely one of those weapons that if you just learn how to shoot it, you can take somebody out in 2 pumps, and that's it. Sometimes you have to lead your shot. Again, it's just about getting used to the actual weapon, but overall a very much top pick, not only by me, but most of the pros as well. This is a weapon that once they pick it up, they're not dropping it. They're going to hold on to it for the remainder of the game because they know they could easily just 1, 2, 3 pump somebody, get them out of the game. Super simple. And overall, just a very solid pick when you're running around Kings Canyon. And then before we go ahead and we jump into the number 1 slot on this list, I just want to go ahead and throw some honorable mentions in here. One being the 30-30 repeater. Although it's brand new to the game, we still don't know exactly where it fits into the meta, but this thing hits like a truck. It just will absolutely annihilate somebody, similar to the Wingman. It's just in pretty much like a DMR or like a single fire weapon sort of format, right? You let the weapon charge up, do 100 damage to the head, and 93 even if it isn't all the way charged up. So the body charged up, 57, 57, and it's pretty much just like a 4-shot weapon at that point if you could just lock onto your target and hit him at pretty much all ranges. And it's also one of those weapons that even if you just kind of quick scope somebody, you're still hitting with 74 if you hit him in the head. And then to the body, 42. And 5 shots, and boom, they're out of there. So it's definitely an interesting weapon, and especially because it only takes 3 attachments, it'd be one of those weapons that you're not trying to scavenge for loot the entire game, trying to outfit the entire gun, similar to like an R301 or something like that. But definitely an honorable mention in this list, and I would be really remiss if I didn't actually add it in there. And then another honorable mention is going to be the one and only Spitfire LMG, especially because this thing can now shred through a squad with some of the updates that they've made to it with the game patch coming in for Season 8 and that gold magazine with it reloading when you put it away. You could pretty much just wipe an entire team instantly if you kind of are swapping between some of your weapons. It does so much damage to him. It does 19 to the body now, 38 to the head. And when you just are sitting there spraying down somebody, if you can control the recoil, this thing will be great to have in your back pocket. And then my last honorable mention on this list is going to be the one and only, everybody's favorite handgun, the P2020. Now I know, before you start laughing, the P2020 actually shreds if you can take the armor off with your first weapon and then just hit him with the hammer point rounds. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things in this entire game. Because once their armor's off, 35 to the body, 53 to the head. It's a 2-shot headshot if you run out of ammo in your primary weapon, and it'll automatically just put them away. It's one of my favorite things to pick up because most people don't expect it, and you don't have to carry like a lot of ammo, and it is a little bit more consistent than some of the shotguns in the game, again, because no matter what, if you take their armor off and you're hitting 35 to the body and 53 to the head, they're going to be gone in either 2 or 3 shots once their armor's off. And it just makes it a nice weapon to swap to, especially because it's super fast to pull out. All right. And then moving on to our top pick, everybody's favorite SMG in the entire game, probably the top weapon and the top pick for almost everybody in this entire game, pro or not, is going to be the R99. Now, the R99 has been a staple in this game for I don't even know how long. It hits for so much damage so quick. It has the fastest TTK in the entire game, and it's so much fun to use. You could look at somebody and instantly just annihilate them if you have a purple mag, and it just reloads so quick. You're able to just spit through them, move on to the next opponent, and you're good to go. This thing is an absolute beast, and I would rather have this in my back pocket than pretty much any other weapon out there. This thing is absolutely amazing, and if you're leaving these on the ground, I don't know what to tell you. You're missing out because this gun is absolutely insane. But either way, that's going to be the end for me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Those are my top picks for weapons, everything new to Season 8. If you like the video, don't forget to like the video. You know, let me know that you like this content, and don't forget to comment down below and let me know what exactly you're excited for in Season 8. And like I said, we'll be doing a whole lot more content here on the channel just for Apex, because it's a game that is near and dear to my heart, and it's a game that I've been thoroughly enjoying getting back into. And in my opinion, the best battle royale. And it's just my opinion, but it's a pretty valid one if you ask me. But either way, like I said, that's going to go ahead and do it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys. Oh, I got them all with the fucking nade. Wow, I got them all with the smoke? They were that weak? Yo, what a fucking clip. Oh, they're fucking tight. Yeah, they were that fucking weak that I just hit them with the smoke and it killed them.